The BC government plans to drop the harmonized sales tax to 10% in an effort to save the tax. The Christy Clark Liberals say they're listening to HST opponents, and the change is needed to make life easier for families. And much like the federal Conservatives who rolled out their cut in the GST over time, the BC government is staggering the reduction in HST, 1% this year, another 1% in 2014. A News reporter Stephen Andrew is covering the story tonight. He joins us now with the numbers and what they mean for your family. Stephen.
Eric, small business, the Chamber and tax advocates are applauding the cut in the HST. The question is, do voters have the same enthusiasm? If there is any question the Liberals want to keep the harmonized sales tax, BC's Finance Minister is removing all doubt with this.
First, I'm committing to a 10% HST rate. We will do this in 2 steps. We will bring the rate down to 11% on July the 1st of 2012 in accordance with the agreement we have with the federal government. And we will drop it a further point to 10% on July the 1st, 2014. The option we put forward...
The province acknowledges under the current system, families pay an average of $350 more per year in tax. To help wipe out any memory of that pain in time for the June 24th referendum on the HST, the government is promising to hand out $200 million in one-time transition checks by the end of this year. Families will receive $175 for each child under 18. Low and modest income seniors get the same amount. And the Christy Clark government says when the HST hits 10%, families will pay $120 less each year than before the tax was introduced.
I understand that people are justifiably angry about the way it was brought in. I was one of those people who was angry about the way the government brought it in. But we can't go backward on that now. And so all we can do is try and figure out how we can go forward and fix the HST for families as much as we possibly can for the future.
But a family with 2 children will have paid more than $900 in HST before seeing a positive cash flow on the tax. That kicks in the year 2018. The NDP isn't impressed, promising to vote against the Liberal plan, saying the numbers don't add up.
These are the actions of a desperate government. They're not to be taken seriously. And I guess what they're saying to people is it's us or chaos.
But Adrian Dix isn't saying how an NDP government would lessen the tax burden on families. To pay for the HST tax cut, the government is moving some of that tax burden back onto business, delaying a planned 2.5% tax decrease on small business. And what's this? A BC Liberal government increasing the tax rate on business? That's exactly what's going to happen next year when the government increases the corporate tax rate by 2%.
Though we have never been a government to promote any tax increase, it is clear that business is a major beneficiary of the HST, and a modest rebalancing is viewed by the public as appropriate and reasonable.
Falcon promises to reintroduce those tax cuts when the economy allows. But the Liberal plan rests on 2 uncertainties.
Thanks, everybody.
If they win the HST referendum and if they win the next election. Now joining the NDP opposing the Liberal plan, Fight HST organizer Chris Delaney says the BC government is making promises it might not be able to keep. The Clark Liberals say that they can. That's why they're rolling out the cuts over the next 3 years, pointing out the provincial portion of the HST will be 5%, the lowest in 30 years. Now, the release of the HST plan is the first of many steps for the BC Liberals' family plan, as Clark has been mentioning that through her campaign and since she became Premier. Ministries, Eric, we have learned, are now being asked to build lists of the top 10 things that government can do to make it easy on families, and we can expect that to be rolled out over the coming weeks. But of course, all this depends on the Liberals being re-elected and if this package today will convince voters to keep the HST.
Stephen Andrew reporting. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.